So what would you identify, of course, as somebody who's studied in India, from India, what would you identify as the key challenges and opportunities for India? Because, of course, one of the axioms here is that in India, that two contradictory things can be completely true at the same time. So at the one hand, the number of Indian billionaires are growing, but we also see unemployment growing especially amongst the youth, as we are also projected to become the most populous country in the world in a few years.
In terms of challenges, I agree with what you just said in terms of the labor market and employment. Creating sufficient jobs, creating high quality jobs is going to be a challenge for India. We've seen employment recover, but it still remains low. And if you look at female labor force participation, youth labor force participation, it's at very low levels. So a lot more work is needed on that front to be able to create enough jobs and to be able to make sure that they're high quality jobs. A second area of challenge will be in terms of fiscal consolidation. These are difficult times. There are lots of vulnerable people. On the positive side, India is doing very well in terms of revenue collection. This is coming through GST, but also through income tax. And again, the digital public infrastructure has a very important role that is playing in able to get higher yields from taxes. But expenditures have also gone up. And so the way to make sure that you actually have a sound fiscal position over the years, you need to have a medium-term fiscal framework, right, fiscal rules, let's say. That's the second challenge. In terms of opportunities, of course, there are also several. Like I said, everybody is looking to India as a source for diversifying away where they buy from. Mm-hmm. And for India to be able to get into the global supply chain much more prominently, that I think is an important opportunity. Recently, India has entered trade agreements with the UAE, with Australia, and they're trying to do that with more countries. I think that's a positive step. But more generally, India's trade policy should move towards making sure that there are inputs that can be purchased, that you can get the right relevant inputs into the country, because otherwise it's going to be very hard to attract foreign direct investment at a much larger scale.